Hello everybody, I am not dead yet, and today I am talking about the tragic passing of Cedric McMillan at the age of 44 years old. Now, I'm not big in the bodybuilding space, and much like a lot of these bodybuilders that I've talked about on the channel previously, I only really heard of Cedric after his death. I know I had a little bit of exposure to him prior to this, mostly through the videos that Greg Doucette made on him, but from what I've seen and from those videos, it really seemed like this outcome wasn't a big surprise to anyone that was kind of following up with him. It seemed like he had already had a heart scare earlier on, and his doctor seemed to be advising him against competing, and yet he continued to attempt to compete. He continued to push the envelope of size and PEDs, and that ultimately led to his untimely death, or at the very least contributed to it. The autopsy isn't out yet, to my knowledge. We don't know, but I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who wouldn't at least say that PEDs played a part in this death.
Back in July, I was almost dead. Like, literally notify your next of kin.
And I'm sure a lot of people are often are looking at especially with all these bodybuilders dropping like flies, or like, oh, well, look at all these idiots, oh, whatever it takes, right? Push, 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 and then something's got to give, and look at they're giving everything it takes. They're dying for it. And I'm sure a lot of people kind of roll their eyes at the whatever it takes mentality. And while I can't necessarily disagree, I can't really sit here and say that, like, continuing to attempt to compete as a bodybuilder at that size with that PEDs and getting down to that level of body fat is an intelligent decision. It's a decision that I understand and empathize with, and that's what I'm hoping to do with this video, is help give you guys an insight into the mindset of a top athlete and someone who truly does love their sport, because I believe that obviously Cedric loved his sport and he was obviously a top athlete. So when you're an athlete and when you truly love your sport, there are two mentalities that exist inside of you, or at the very least, that's what I've experienced, and it's what I've experienced with other people who have kind of given their lives to their sports. There's the mindset of the individual, and then there's the mindset of the athlete, and these two mindsets often come into conflict. I'll give you an example. So, and this sort of danger and willing to put yourself in harm's way, or even risking your life, is prevalent in almost all aspects of sports. If we talk about my sport, specifically boxing, and I'll use this example to tie into the mindset one, so bear with me, there is a point to this. When Muhammad Ali stepped into the ring against Larry Holmes, he already had the early onsets of Parkinson's. That was a stupid decision. Like, you're going into a fight against somebody who is younger than you, Larry Holmes used to walk away from sparring sessions because Holmes was Ali's sparring partner. This was prime Ali. He would walk away from sparring sessions with prime Ali saying, I can beat this guy. This guy's not that tough. I could beat this guy. That was prime Muhammad Ali. And now we have old, early onset Parkinson's Muhammad Ali stepping into the ring with him for a championship fight. It's not an intelligent decision. However, I was talking to both, and I had this conversation with both my sparring partners and one of my old coaches. And with both my sparring partner and my old coach, I said that as a person, that's stupid. Like, there is no fathomable reason to do that. You are putting your health at risk. You are risking your life, and even if you could survive the fight, you are risking you're risking quality of life. You're risking making the disease that you already have, that is slowly going to take away your quality of life, even worse, right? But at the same time, as a fighter, I can't help but respect and admire that. He loved what he did so much. He loved boxing. He loved fighting so much that he was willing to step into the ring, even though it not only could have killed him, not only could have taken away the quality of his life for the rest of his life, but also even just considering the fact that he had a massive disadvantage, multiple, because it was a sparring partner that knew him, that was young and ready to beat him. And so I've had this conversation with multiple people, and it's always like, yeah, like logically, it's stupid. But as a fighter that loves it, that truly loves to fight, that loves boxing with all my heart, I respect it. It's somebody, it's like the epitome of someone who chooses to go out on their blade. And again, it's a stupid mentality. And I'm not saying you should copy this mentality, but it's something that is prevalent in a lot of fighters. Both my sparring partner and my former coach understood what I was talking about. And like I said, this isn't something that is exclusive to boxing, because you've given your life to this. And when you've given your life to something, when you truly love something, there's this mindset of, I'd rather die than live without it. And I'm sure to a certain extent that played into what happened with Cedric. And a lot of people, or at the very least Greg, from what I watched when he made his video on the topic, brought up the idea of body dysmorphia, where Cedric was talking about how he felt small despite being a massive bodybuilder, right? How he was saying, like, oh, I was looking at the cabbie driving me to the event, and I'm like, dang, the cab driver's bigger than me.
You look about the biggest and best I've ever seen you.
Okay, well, that's kind of crazy, because when I got off the plane, I immediately said, oh my God, I feel like I'm small. And when I walked into the hotel, the dude that picked me up at the airport, I said, shit, he's bigger than me. What?
And the body dysmorphia coupled with this is my everything, I'm willing to die for this, can only lead people down a more dark and serious road that will lead to death. And it's happening with bodybuilders. We're seeing it. And so, while, again, the whole theme of this video is, like, yeah, it's not the most intelligent, but I understand it. And I'm sure a lot of high-level athletes understand it too. And I hope that this gives you a bit of an insight, to even relate it back to my previous video, talking about that pure white ash feeling. That feeling of satisfaction and burning and excitement, and there are times where you really only feel alive when you're doing what you love. And for some people, that's the sport. There's nothing that makes me feel the way I do when I'm fighting. Nothing. Nothing comes close to it. It's something that's undescribable, and it's something I live for. And I've even said it before, like, a life without boxing is not a life worth living. And I think Cedric, to a certain extent, felt the same way. I can't speak for him. I'm only making assumptions based off of my experiences and the experiences of other people whom I have talked to. But this mindset is more prevalent in a lot of people than just the top of the top, the people that are like the greatest of the greatest. There are just some people, even at the most basic level, that will do whatever it takes to continue to do whatever they love. And again, to a certain extent, I can't help but admire it. Now, we talk about this idea. Now, and back to the question of Muhammad Ali, there's also the idea of money and being pushed by his promoters to take that fight. Like, before, some big galaxy brain in the comments is like, well, actually, Ali only took that fight because his promoters pushed him to, and he's he needed the money. It's like, yeah, okay, there's that aspect of it too, but I like to be just a teeny bit optimistic sometimes, so give me this, please. But continuing on from this, what can we learn from this? What can we do? Because I don't blame the athletes. I don't. Because if you're going to make it, if you're going to do well in any real athletic endeavor, if you want to make it to the top, that's a mentality that you almost need to have. And it's a mentality for some people that has been cultivated for a very long time. I've been brainwashed since very young, like 7, 8, 9, 10 at the oldest, but definitely younger. I remember my father talking to me about how he didn't have a lot of respect for Roberto Duran, the Hands of Stone, because he said no mas and quit in the middle of a boxing match, that a real fighter should be willing to die in the ring. I was like 7 or 8 at the time. when I started fighting at 5. And again, even at 5, I was pushed with this mentality of like, give it all, you know. Like even to this day, my motto to myself before I step into the ring is this. I just punched my microphone. That's not it. My motto before I step into the ring is this. You are a Spartan. No surrender, no retreat. Give him nothing and take from him everything. You think that's a mentality that is conducive to, oh, don't die? Don't be willing to give your life for this? Because when you're pushed to the top level, and I've said it before in many videos, whatever you are unwilling to do, or whatever you are unwilling to sacrifice, there is not only someone out there willing to do it or sacrifice it, they will do it, they are either doing it with ease or they will sacrifice it in a heartbeat. You need that mentality to not just survive, but thrive. If you, and in sport, or at least in boxing, I don't step in the ring to survive, I step in to hunt. And if I'm going to hunt, there has to be a certain level of I don't care. And it's the same with any sport. You need to be willing to do things that your opponent won't in order to gain the advantage, right? I relate heavily to a lot of what Mike Tyson says, and especially when people talk, or even Mike Tyson himself talks about how Cus D'Amato basically like brainwashed him to being the ultimate fighting machine. I lived through that. I fighting was and is my life. And even recognizing that, I'm not trying to undo that brainwashing. Before I haven't fought again yet, but it's still that idea of I will still say that Spartan line to myself when I step into the ring. I remember sparring one time, and it got to like really heavy sparring, right? And we were getting really into it, and I remember I slipped and I just, took a knee and again missed a punch or whatever. And I remember my sparring partner going, "Whoa, take it easy, man. You want to live past 25?" And I remember getting up, and as I stood up and got my hands back up, I remember thinking to myself, I'm willing to die. That was a sparring session. It meant nothing in the grand scheme of things, but yet when you're in it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the thrill of it all, and it's a mentality that's cultivated and actively encouraged in sport. It truly is whatever it takes. So I don't blame the athletes, because they need it. Because again, like I said, despite everything I've talked about, I'm not gonna try to undo the brainwashing. It's sports psychology.
I don't know. I've been battling back and forth with myself, not really knowing what to do next. I'm feeling like, all right, is it over? Does this mean I'm supposed to retire when I'm fucking sick all the time? Or what, And knowing motherfuckers on the internet gonna be talking shit, wondering how family and friends gonna feel. Cedric ain't no bodybuilder no more. Just worrying about all that kind of stuff. Plus, still feeling in myself that I got something I need to try to prove to somebody, and still wanting to do the thing I love.
Back when Scott Murray first died, the Iron Musket and I remember we were having a conversation, and he told me about how he was on his bike ride thinking about everything that happened, and he started to tear up a little bit, thinking like, oh, well, what if that was me? And from there, we had a conversation where each of us kind of talked about what we would do if the other should just one day drop dead. Side note, if I do ever drop dead one day, I want Josh to make a video eulogy on me like, people do, but I want him to fill it full of ads. I want the whole thing. I want it to be as long as he can possibly make it, and I want him to fill the entire thing with ads. I want people to be commenting, hey Josh, you got a video in your ads. Like that's the kind of ads I want. I want the bar that shows you how much video you have left to basically just be pure yellow. And those of you all have to watch all of them the whole way through without skipping a single one, otherwise he didn't really care about me. But that aside, when he said that, he started to wonder, what if that was me, I remember, and I said it, I was like, well, it could have been. Those of you that follow me on Instagram will remember the time where I was actually barred from fighting. My doctor actually withdrew his signature saying that I was fit to fight because they were worried about my heart. I had a resting heart rate as low as 39 beats per minute, which is incredibly low. And I thought I was fine. I knew I was fine. There was no pain, no nothing. I was training really hard, and I was like, well, listen, like, I'm doing very hard cardio multiple times a day. If there was problems with my heart, I would know about it. But I distinctly remember the doctor telling me to take it easy on the training. Don't train until I get my heart checked out. Because, and I quote, people drop dead from this. And I assume, like, the stuff he was talking about was basically what happened to Scott, where, you know, people were just, you know, they're going about their lives and just suddenly the heart gives out. Now, I, of course, didn't listen. I continued to train as usual, and in fact, I was really frustrated because I felt fine, and I was more frustrated that this issue with my heart could prevent me from fighting like a couple weeks down the line. And again, I know my body very well. I've been training for a long time, but it just kind of goes to show the mentality, because I know for a fact that even if there was something wrong with my heart, I would be like, okay, let's fix this as quickly as possible because I've got a fight in 2 weeks. I would be more concerned with how can we get this out of the way so that I can continue to fight, so I can finally be cleared to fight, as opposed to, oh no, there's something wrong with me or whatever. Now again, I want to stress, I was right, there was nothing wrong, I am just in amazing shape. But worst case scenario, like, it could have ended very differently. I could have been in Cedric's position or in Scott's position, right? But the mindset was I wasn't worried about that at all, really. I was a little bit, you know, it's something in the back of your head, but I was more concerned with whether or not I would be able to fight. So, all that to say, I know it seems stupid, and I know a lot of people will be like, oh, that mentality is dumb and it's killing people, but I was hoping to give you guys a little bit of insight behind why we think that way, why athletes are like that. And I hope you found this video I hope you got something from this video. I hope you were able to take a little bit of insight from my experiences. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe, because I actually wanted to talk a little bit about potential solutions to all the deaths we're seeing in bodybuilding, but this video is getting long enough already, and I'm probably going to split it up into a second video. So again, subscribe for that. Make sure you click the bell button and leave a comment on what you think about all this. What do you on what happened with bodybuilding in general, and what you think about what I said, and anything else in between. Leave what's on your mind in the comments below. To end this off, I would like to thank all of my Patreon supporters in both a monetary and a morale sense. You guys give me a boost, and I'm super, super grateful for all of you. You guys help support me, and your support means the world. If you would like to support me, all of the ways to do so will be in my description. If you're looking for to buy supplements or coaching plans, all of my HTLT and GregDucette.com affiliate links will be in the description. Along with, if you want to support me directly, there's the PayPal and the Patreon, which you can find there. If you are some sponsor and you are looking to sponsor me or a video, again, I'm looking for more sponsors. My business email can also be found in the description. But I believe that is everything I have to say for this video. So until next time, remember, only the strong subscribe. I am not dead yet. And if you are not either, there is always a tomorrow waiting for you.